when we first started out, our churn was super high. It was like 25-30%. And we knew there was no sense in putting money into paid ads when we were churning at that rate. So for a year and a half, that was like our goal. Just try to make customers happy, figure out how to onboard them. I mean, when we first launched it, the platform had a lot of features, but it was super confusing to try to figure out how to navigate it and how to get your first product live and start accepting payment. So we've come a long way in terms of our user experience, our onboarding, and we have significantly lowered churn. We're in the single digits now, and so we didn't really even think about paid ads until we got to that point.
On this episode of the Rich Ad Poor Ad podcast, we have Mark Thompson, co-founder of PayKickStart, an industry-leading billing and affiliate management platform for subscription-based businesses. On this episode, he dives into the early stages of PayKickStart and what their biggest pain points were in the beginning, how churn became a huge focus, and how they were able to reduce it substantially with a new offer. And lastly, my favorite, different ways to monetize your current customers to boost your LTV and your bottom line. This is going to be a great episode, y'all, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. But before we begin, if you are an agency owner or media buyer, head over to funneldash.com to learn how their tools can allow you to scale your ads and get cash back. That's funneldash.com. Without further ado, here are your hosts, Dylan Carpenter and Zach Johnson.
Welcome to another episode of the Rich Ad Poor Ad podcast. This is your host, Zach Johnson. I'm with Mr. Dylan Carpenter. You ready to talk about some SaaS today?
Hell yes.
Awesome, man. Well, today's guest is the co-founder of PayKickStart, a online shopping cart and marketing software platform that has been around for about 4.5 years. They've got over 3,000 users, just passed over 1 million ARR, and a lot of the big name direct response marketers are using this for their checkout and payment flows. But Mark is also an internet marketing OG and legend. I want to say, gosh, you've been in the space for 10 plus years, maybe 15. I don't even know.
Yeah, I'm a dinosaur, I guess, right?
Yes, man. Years. I know, but welcome to the show, man. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So tell everybody a little bit about your journey from going to, promoting launch after launch, info product after info product, to really honing in for a pretty disciplined 4 years here on PayKickStart, and what made you want to jump into that?
Yeah. It's been a long journey. So I've been an entrepreneur for about 10 years now. I think before I started my entrepreneurial journey, I was working at a marketing agency. So I was doing a lot of, client work, and I realized I hated it. I was trading time for money, and it was just not scalable. Even when I was working for someone else, I knew that I wanted to be my own boss, but I knew that I didn't want to run an ad agency and have a whole bunch of clients to speak to. So I wanted to figure out how I could create my own products or programs and sell them 24/7. I just felt like that was a little bit easier to scale. And I found this place called the Warrior Forum. If you've ever heard of it, it's been around forever. It's the largest internet
marketing. You're the king of the Warrior Forum, man. You just dominated that for years.
Yeah, well, so I found it, and I just kind of reverse engineered what other people were doing on it, and I just took it and ran with it. I saw these people launching products on it. And so, I don't want to give too much, to make a long story short, I just figured it out. I figured out how to create a sales funnel. I figured out how to create a product and bring it to market that people wanted. And I started to make a whole bunch of friends in the affiliate space. I had, over a couple thousand affiliates that were promoting our offers. And so there was really no risk, because these were affiliates that had lists and they were just promoting the offer, and I would only pay them when we made a sale. And so I started to do this for my own products, but then other people started to contact me and be like, hey, I have this really cool piece of software. Will you help me launch it? And so that's kind of what I was doing for 3 or 4 years. And I made a lot of money doing it. But I realized at the end of the day, it wasn't really sustainable to continue to do that. And especially the way that the pricing was set up. A lot of them were, one-time prices, lifetime type of deals. And it was just really hard to be able to scale that out. It's impossible. And I feel like you don't really have a real business until you have recurring revenue coming in. And so, while I realized that, I did it for a number of years, and I still support the majority of the products that I launched back in the day, or I've at least sold those businesses. I haven't just kind of gotten rid of them. But I know a lot of people have, and it's why the quote unquote internet marketer has gotten a bad rep, because they try to get a quick cash grab and then they leave and they don't support the product. But I realized that wasn't sustainable. And so, but it gave me the foundation for what I know today. And it gave me the capital that I needed to be able to invest into a mainstream SaaS application where I could compete with other people, other businesses in the marketplace. I wouldn't have been able to do that unless I did what I did, previously, or unless I went and got a whole bunch of venture capital money, which I never did. We've been bootstrapped from the ground up. So, it was kind of like I learned a whole bunch of hard lessons.
I'll push back. Was it bootstrapped or was it self-funded? I feel like you've got to poured in some cash into PayKickStart.
Well, I did. Yeah. I mean, it was self-funded. I mean, bootstrapped. It was basically me and one other partner. But yeah, so we obviously put some money into it, and PayKickStart started as an internal tool just to sell our own products, just because we were so fed up with the archaic solutions that were out there for selling our products. We just realized that we were leaking so much potential revenue as we started to grow. And so we said, screw it, we're a software company, let's just build this thing ourselves. So it started off really kind of small, just to be able to accept payment, manage recurring revenue, manage our affiliates. And then people were asking us, like, hey, what are you doing over there? And they started asking, hey, can I use your platform to sell my own products? And we kind of realized, hey, we're onto something here. And, about 5 or 6 years ago, we started to really shift our focus, our resources, our money, our energy towards this. And we realized, hey, if we want to, make this something special, we're going to have to kind of put our eggs in that basket and start to take some risk. And that's what we did.
I want to know how much you had to invest in a PayKickStart to get it to this point.
I mean, that's a really good question. I mean, the good news is, we've been very fortunate to find talented people overseas. Our whole team is virtual. So we have people in the Philippines, Eastern Europe, South Africa. If you name a country, we've probably have hired someone, either a developer or a designer. So we've been able to find some relatively inexpensive talent. So it's not as much as you would think, where, some of these companies that, they're getting 20 million in VC money and they're hiring everybody in the States and they have this massive office that they're trying to impress everybody. We didn't have that. So, we were kind of bootstrapped in that sense, where we all had our own home office. We were all working virtually. So it wasn't as much as you would think. And, the fact that I had other streams of revenue coming in, it kind of mitigated that upfront cost.
So how do you go from selling, I'll say, the bottom of the barrel, right? Lifetime deal software, low quality customers, low paying, low LTV.
Yep.
And it's a totally different marketing process, right?
Yep.
A lot of hype. And well, a lot of people, I'm sure that got PayKickStart started, but I'd imagine that pretty much all of those customers have churned out by now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a small fraction of those customers. So we had that email list. It was a pretty big email list. I mean, 80, 100,000 people were on that list from just the years of selling all these different products and partnering with other people that had products. And so that was definitely something that helped us to kind of get things going and get our initial client base. But yeah, a lot of those did churn out just because they're used to paying the one-time fee. And so the biggest thing for me was, just getting in the mentality of focus, right? I was so kind of in that like perpetual launch sequence that I had to get away from it. And so it was hard for me to do in the beginning. But, as time went on, I started to really see the potential, and I started to see that snowball effect every single month. We started to get more and more recurring revenue, more people talking about us, and more people like, oh, cool, you guys fixed that bug. You added this feature. And it started, it was one of those, it was a slow process in the beginning, but it started to really pick up speed. And, after a couple of years, that's really when it started to get exciting, and people started to just organically talk about us with some of the other solutions that are similar to us, that are more mainstream SaaS, that, really have bigger budgets than we do. And so that's when it really started to get exciting for us.
That's cool, man. Well, let's get into it. I want to talk about a rich ad, and I want to talk about rich ads specifically for your use case. And we don't have, tons of folks on that are, repping B2B software products.
Yep.
And like I said, it is a different marketing and sales function, right? It's like B2B SaaS. I think like the most I've seen folks scale in this space is like 300 grand, maybe 400 grand a month. It's definitely not your D2C consumer, brand spending millions. And a lot of the time you're trying to manage this blend of LTV versus, payback period and short-term ROAS, which is a different, it's a totally different ball game than in e-commerce where it's just, your, like you get that feedback so quickly, right?
Yep.
So yeah, man, lay it down for us. What's the rich ad that's working for you that's growing PayKickStart?
Yeah, well, let me first say, we had to solve our churn problem before we could even put $1 into ads. So when we first started out, our churn was super high. It was like 25, 30%. And we knew there was no sense in putting money into paid ads when we were churning at that rate. So for a year and a half, that was like our goal. Just try to make customers happy, figure out how to onboard them. I mean, when we first launched it, the platform had a lot of features, but it was super confusing to try to figure out how to navigate it and how to get your first product live and start accepting payment. So we've come a long way in terms of our user experience, our onboarding, and we have significantly lowered churn. We're in the single digits now, and so we didn't really even think about paid ads until we got to that point. Now, once we've gotten to that point, we were trying to figure out, okay, what's something where we can provide value to our target audience, which is any online business with recurring revenue. So we work with SaaS companies, we work with membership site owners, online course creators, we work with some ad agencies. They're managing clients, and so we're like, well, how can we give them some great values, some things that'll help to increase conversions, lower churn, increase the LTV, but at the same time, get them adopted to our product and make sure that there's brand awareness and they hopefully will adopt our product, which will automate a lot of what we're teaching them. And so we created a 30-day challenge. It was called the 2X challenge. It was a 30-day intensive workshop. And we walked people through after the 30 days. If you implemented what we teach you, our goal is to try to get you to 2X your revenue, try to double your revenue in 30 days. And so we show them each day, we gave them a new strategy, and we try to keep it bite-sized. Like the strategies were very simple. We gave them a worksheet to fill out and then an implementation video on how to actually go and implement it. And so we did that for 30 days. And there's been some other companies, most notably like ClickFunnels, that did a challenge. They were super successful with it. So we kind of piggybacked off that strategy. And so what we did was we created the sales page. It was $100 to get into it. So we try to keep it as low of a price point as possible to just low barrier to entry. But we wanted to make sure that there was some skin in the game. We didn't want to give it away for free because, we know what people do with free products. They say, I'll get back to it later. So we wanted to at least have some sort of incentive for them. And so what we were doing, we were running Facebook ads to this $100 offer, and it was breaking even. It was breaking even. So it cost us about $100 to get each person into the door. But what we found was about 30% of those people were sticking with PayKickStart. So included in the 30-day challenge was 1 month of PayKickStart access. So we're teaching them these strategies and we're saying, hey, you can go and implement this stuff manually, or you can use PayKickStart. Here's the tool. You have access to it for 30 days, and you can allow us to help you automate the majority of what we're teaching you. And so that was the end goal, right? Try to get them to use PayKickStart and hopefully be a lifetime customer. And so about 30% of them stuck. And what we noticed was the majority of them, once they stuck and they're onboarded and they're using our system, they don't want to leave, right? It's not fun switching billing platforms. And so that was a strategy, a funnel that worked extremely well. I don't know if you have any questions about that before we talk about one.
I think that for those listening to this episode, definitely reference back to the ClickFunnels episode, because the numbers you're sharing, Dave Woodward, CEO at ClickFunnels, shares very similar numbers on their, I don't know if it was definitely either the challenge funnel or their book funnels of just like the relationship between selling info to software on the back end. And you're right, like you're going to get you're going to get a more pre-qualified lead when somebody's going to throw down. Selling subscription on, free trials or subscription from paid advertising is a death trap, right? Like it's going to be high churn. You're going to have to wait, 60 days. And we've all kind of evolved from that, I think, in the B2B software space. And so courses and challenging info, you only want 30% of those people buying courses into your software. You wouldn't want 100% of them into it. So that's awesome, man. I love that. How much were you able to scale this particular campaign with the challenge as the front end offer?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So we did notice there was a threshold as we started to increase our budget, as we started to kind of open up the ads a little bit more. And I wish I could talk about it. So my co-founder, he actually manages our ads, so he could probably speak to it a little bit more. But I know we definitely reached a threshold. I think we were spending about $20,000 or $25,000 a month. And then we started to notice that it was starting to dip. I don't know if it was just the ads were being seen by the same people, or if the audience wasn't as targeted, because we're targeting recurring based businesses. While that may seem like a lot, I mean, at some point you're going to kind of dilute your audience. And so we started to notice once we reached that threshold, it started to go down. And so we've actually been experimenting with some other advertising platform, Google ads and even like Quora ads and some just kind of off the beaten path type of traffic sources. And so that's something that we're actually working on right now, is just doing some testing in other areas.
Yeah, I've actually seen that to be true. 20,000 a month is definitely a really big mile marker for a lot in B2B SaaS. I see a lot of SaaS companies that plateau there, and they have to kind of diversify their funnels, right? They end up kind of with, let's say, a challenge funnel, a book funnel, free trial, and gosh, who even knows how many funnels like ClickFunnels has for their
I can't even keep track. They come out with a new one every week.
Yeah, and that was so that may just be the playbook, right? Just accept that the challenge is $20K, and then just move on to the next front end offer. And if you end up with 5-10 different funnels that are all just kind of hovering at $20K, like you're still doing better. I in the early days of Funnel Dash, when we were repping software, I got like microscopically focused on like the one funnel. And really, if you kind of look back, like it was our, agency growth book, and it was our, lifetime deal promotions, and it was our Rich Ed Poor Ed book, and all those different funnels were what really contributed to the overall list building and lead gen efforts. And then, the MRR. So, no, it's cool, man. So let's talk about a Poor Ed. What's not working for you?
So before we did the 30-day challenge, we did a free plus shipping offer. So the shipping was $15, and it was called the Marketer's Vault. And so we gave them some physical goods. It was also we gave some digital assets as well. But it was basically some workbooks, some all different types of books, like just how to increase conversion. It was very similar to the 30-day challenge, but it was just formatted differently. It was a physical package. We actually rolled in the digital version as well, which helped increase the initial cart value by about 30%. So I think we were selling it for like $8 that they could add it to their cart. So that did help a little bit. The problem with the Marketer's Vault is there was a disconnect between the training and our core product. It wasn't seamlessly integrated with PayKickStart. So it was like we would teach them how to do something, and it wasn't really it didn't really naturally flow to, hey, this is how you go and automate it with our PayKickStart solution. And so I think there was a disconnect there. And the fact that we were also paying for the physical goods to ship this, I think the CPA was around $35. So we were losing, around, it was like between $15 and $20 a lead we were losing on. And we really, and the fact that I think we only got about 5 or 10% of the people to actually stay with PayKickStart after the first month, because we gave them 30 days of a free trial as well. And then
wait, hold on. Let me recap here. So you sell a book, super low ticket.
Yep.
And of those book buyers, 5 to 10% not took the offer or stuck around after the first month.
They stayed after the offer to stay with PayKickStart. The problem was, and what's even worse about that is the fact that after that first month, the drop off rate was astronomical. So maybe they let it, rebuild by accident. And then, so they just didn't stick. There wasn't synergy between the training that we gave them and the product. And so we kind of learned from our mistakes. And that's why the 30-day challenge, I believe, was so much of a better funnel, just because everything was seamless and it was all integrated as kind of one product.
And that can be evergreen as well. I imagine that challenge can be reused, reworded. So you got a good one there.
Yeah. We ran it a couple times live, and it was a lot of work. I mean, just the content alone took a while, but now we just run it evergreen. Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Funnel Dash's Ad Card, the only charge card exclusively for your digital ad spend in partnership with MasterCard. And if you are an aggressive affiliate dealing with dozens of ad accounts, or you are in gray hat or black hat verticals such as drop shipping, CBD, or other verticals where you're dealing with ad accounts getting shut down, business managers getting shut down, or even deplatformed from platforms like Facebook and Google, then you absolutely need to check out Funnel Dash's Ad Card. We give you unlimited free virtual debit and credit cards, so you can have a dedicated card for every single ad account campaign. And you can attach any name and address in the US, so you have complete anonymity on the card and at the card level. Plus, one of my favorite features is that you don't have to pre-fund or even top off like most typical virtual card solutions today. So if this is you and you're operating these verticals, whether you're an agency or an advertiser, then check out AdCard at funneldash.com.
All right, man, let's talk about some financial principles. How are you, investing in your marketing at PayKickStart? How have you, self-funded the business? What are some guiding principles on how you're managing the business day to day?
Yeah. So in the very beginning, and I talked about this earlier, was churn. We just realized churn was so high. And if we never got that under control, there would be no way for us to scale. So churn was by far our biggest metric that we were looking at. And we just became obsessed with figuring out why people were leaving. And so we actually added a whole bunch of churn features inside of PayKickStart that vendors can use to help automate the collection of feedback and understand, why are people leaving your product? Why are people canceling? What do they need? Is it a feature? Do they need better support? And that's what we did. So we added 24/7 live chat. And I basically told all of our customer success team to just say, like, how can we serve you better? What do you need? What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? So we were using NPS score as well to help measure churn. We have what's called a cancellation saver sequence. So we find out whenever someone's going to cancel, we ask them why they want to cancel. Are they going to another product? Are we missing a feature? Was the support not right? Was it confusing to use? And of course, we had live chat right there to help overcome those challenges. We had better onboarding. So we just did all these different things to just lower churn, and it worked. And it took a while, but that was our main metric that we looked at. And then we're always looking to improve churn, right? I mean, we want to minimize cancellations, but once we got that under control, we really started to work on expansion revenue and the lifetime, value of a customer. So we're trying to come up with how, now that someone's paying us $99 a month, how do we get them to pay us $200 or $300? And so part of that was repositioning our pricing. So it took a while. We actually didn't change our pricing for the first 4 years. And that was a huge mistake that we made. So we kept adding to the product more features, and we're enhancing it, but we just totally forgot about changing our plans. And so immediately once we did that, the customer lifetime value doubled.
Patrick Campbell from ProfitWell would be just slapping you silly right now.
Oh, he'd punch me in the face. Yeah.
He's like, you should be doing that every 90 days.
And we are now. I mean, it's just like an evolution. And so, and hey, you learn, right? I mean, there's only so much you can do, and everybody makes mistakes. And that was one of our biggest mistakes, was just, totally not worrying about pricing. And so, once we got our pricing fixed and we increased those prices, and we noticed that the lifetime value doubled. Now we're like, okay, well, what are some add-ons? What other additional expansion revenue can we do? And so, we're going to be our own payment processor coming up next week. We added a couple other add-ons so they can add, bolt on a couple, $20 a month, $30 a month add-ons to their subscription, kind of like what, Intercom does and Slack does. Before you know it, you started off at $20 a month and you're spending, $200 or $300 a month. And so that's really what we've been focused on, I would say, over the last 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, Mark, man, you made it. You're on the other side, man. You like, this is a big milestone for you with PayKickStart, and there's very few folks that have, or would have stuck it out as long as you have. And to build out the feature set that you've built is a true commitment. And it's kind of crazy because like once you hit 1 million ARR, you're kind of just getting started.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, this is kind of where the fun begins, I think. Like it took us, 4 years to really kind of get to this point, but now it's super fun. And, we're not getting those questions like, hey, I need this feature. Oh, sorry, we don't have it. So now we've like tackled a whole bunch of them. And now the product is mature enough where we feel like we can kind of compete with everybody and we can kind of see it in the financials, right? So it's exciting.
That's awesome, man. Well, tell everybody how we can support you and how folks can get in touch.
Yeah, so I mean, you can go to paykickstart.com. You can start a free trial, 14-day free trial. We have live 24/7 chat if you have questions about it. We also have a Facebook group where we just talk about subscription-based businesses. So how to increase, your MRR, how to lower churn, how to just build online businesses. So if you just go to Facebook and type in PayKickStart, it's called Subscription Growth Hacks, and you can join that. And I'm in there, and we have thousands of other online entrepreneurs in there. So feel free to join there.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much, Mark. This has been an amazing episode. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for listening to another episode of the Rich Ad Poor Ad podcast. If you're like me and listen to podcasts on the go ahead and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and richadpooradcom/podcast. And if you absolutely love the show, go ahead and leave a review and a comment, share with a friend. If you do, take a copy, screenshot of it, email me, Zach@funneldash.com, show me you left a review, and I'll give you a free copy of the Rich Ad Poor Ad book. To learn more about the book, go to richadpoorad.com. To leave a review, go to richadpoorad.com/review. Thanks again.